Hello everyone, welcome back to Optimize FPL. I'm going to be hosting this year for the Pizza Premier League. Please feel free to join below. It's completely free. The winner of the cup or the league gets a free pizza. Like I said, completely free to join. Please feel free to. Good luck, and I look forward to the season. Welcome back everyone to Optimize FPL. We're going to be looking over some drafts that I found online that I think were a bit interesting. I'm going to rate them out of 10. Let's get into the video. So as you can see here, it's a very interesting team. It gets all of the good. It gets a lot of good defensive assets in. It hits Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal. So it's a very good in that regard. Newcastle also a very good team. So Trippier is a great one. So their defense looks all right. It's not bad. It's not good. I think that you're missing Cancelo, but you have Ederson to kind of cover for that. It's all right. It's decent. It's got a decent defense. Like obviously you don't want to say anything about Trent and Reece James. They're all really good assets. Same with Ederson. The midfield is where it gets a little bit more interesting, especially the front three. This is a Threemium draft, so three premiums. It's got Salah, Holland, and Kane. I don't personally agree with this strategy. I think that captaincies are more meant for, or premiums are more meant for captaincy. You really don't need three premiums in every single game week. Um, you lose value from your premiums if they're not captained. And if you're not planning on captaining a premium, you shouldn't have them in your team within a reasonable amount of time. Like if you're going to captain them, like if they're captaining Salah one week, Haaland the next week, Kane the next week, and then they're captaining Salah again, then Haaland again, and then Kane, and they're each premium is getting captained 2 out of 6 game weeks. It's all right, but I still think that you'd want to have two and spread those extra funds around the team to make them better. They have some interesting bench options as well with Undav and Elliott. Undav, I think, is a little bit unproven, so I don't think that he's really a great asset at this point in the season. Potentially could get better, depending on what they do with Welbeck and Maupay. I've heard rumors that Maupay might be leaving, so if Maupay leaves, Undav at 5.5 million starting in Brighton, pretty decent. Elliott from Liverpool, I think, is not a good option. Takes away Liverpool spot, so if you ever want to get in someone like Diaz or Robertson, you're completely screwed because you have Elliott at 5 million in your team. You can't get rid of them. The rest of the bench options are fine. Andres, Nico Williams, Gazaniga, they're fine. They're not like Gazaniga's not going to play, but who cares? And then Andres and Nico Williams are great assets at their price points. So overall, this team is decent. I think it's got a lot of good, but it also has a lot of bad. I think that if you brought in someone like Jesus for one of Holland and Kane, you could definitely upgrade Martinelli to an 8.8 million pound player. You could upgrade some of the defenders like Trippier to Cancelo or Robertson. I think there's a lot that you can do with this team for not a lot of money. Easily changing Holland or Holland or Kane to Jesus gets you like an extra, I think, like 3.5 million. You can do a lot of stuff with that money. So overall, this team is decent. I'm gonna give it. So yeah, I'm rating this team 7 out of 10. Needs some fixing, but overall it would be a decent starting team. Let's move on to the next one. So this team is as differential as you could like in the forward line at least. Their defense is pretty set in stone, pretty template. Reece James, Cancelo, Trent, Mendy at 5 million. Even Dyer is not necessarily a template player, but he's also like just a good player. Like if you don't want the problem with Perisic, you could just bring Dyer in for zero point 0.5 less. He's a good option in my opinion. But if you look at that midfield and forward line, that is just very differential. Odegaard, Bernardo, Grealish, Wilson, and Kane. You're missing out on a lot of players who are very highly owned, like Jesus, Holland. You're missing out on the 8 million pound players. You're missing out on the 6 million pound players like Martinelli. You're missing out on Rashford. I just don't know if I love the double up of Bernardo and Grealish. I think that Bernardo is probably not going to be playing as much as you guys might think he would be. Um, Grealish, I think second season syndrome under Pep, usually pretty good sign for him to do well. So Grealish, I think, is a very good option in my opinion if you're going for someone who isn't in the 8 million pound marks. But that midfield needs a revamp. There's a lot wrong with it. Odegaard, Bernardo, Grealish as a midfield trio is just not good enough in my opinion for the assets that are out there in the midfield. There's so many better ones. I just think that this team is just not taking advantage of it. Wilson is a great option. Like for the longest time I wanted him in my team. I really wanted him in my team, but I couldn't justify it over Jesus. Jesus has such good opening fixtures. Newcastle have hard fixtures to start the season off. Um, Like they have Liverpool and Manchester City in their first five. It just doesn't make any sense. Like you're gonna bench an 8 or 7.5 million pound player, 2 out of the first 5 game weeks. So, like, what is even the point of having him then? So I don't love him. Unfortunately, I love Wilson as a player. I just don't love him as an FPL asset to start the season. Yeah, so I'm gonna rate this team a 6 out of 10. It's still very good. It's got a lot of the great assets that you need. It's got the Salah and Trent double up. Those are very important aspects. It's got good captaincy options. It's got reasonably good players. It's got a good bench. Um, Taylor, surprisingly, at 4.5 million, a lot of the teams have him. I don't know if it's something that I'm missing out on or something. Maybe I'll bring him in instead of I have Archer in my team personally right now. But yeah, everybody seems to have Taylor in their team. Maybe there's people know something that I don't. But yeah, I think overall 6.5, 6 out of 10 is decent. Up next, and again another very template trio of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, James. Don't need to say much about them. They're pretty understandable. Raya at 4.5 million, I think is a really good option. Their fixtures start off the season really, really well. I think if you're going to get a goalkeeper this season, I think you either go for the premium of Ederson at 5.5 million, or you go for Raya at 4.5 million, or Sanchez. I just don't think it makes sense. Like the 5 millions are decent, but I think Mendy, his defense just hasn't been looking good to start the season off, and Ramsdale is good, but you can get better Arsenal assets in the defensive options, like in Zinchenko or Gabriel. Dallo, I think, looks really good. I like him a lot. I kind of want him in my team. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm not sure where I'm going to find the money to get him in, but I do like Dallo a lot because Wambsaka has been absolutely useless, and they don't really have any other right backs to play that position. So looking at the top half of the team, too many Arsenal assets in the midfield and forward. You're tripling up on Arsenal forwards. That just is it feels like a recipe for disaster. Arsenal blank 1 game week, and now you've got 3 players who are only getting 2 points. That's not good. You want to diversify your risk a little bit more than that. Um, Holland, Salah, great options. Like I think Holland, you probably could do Kane instead. That's just my personal opinion. Again, Holland is still a very very good option. And then Rashford, again, is a very good asset, and someone I do think I want in my team. I'm not sure if he's much better than Martinelli, but it's a very very thin line between the two of them. But Rashford I think is a great option. But yeah, just too many Arsenal assets in the front line, and that's really the only thing that's wrong with this team. I'm going to give this team a See, I personally give this team an 8 out of 10. Like the only problem with it is that there's too many Arsenal assets. But if you changed out Saka for Diaz and you changed Odegaard, honestly, Odegaard to like Martinelli, or even Odegaard just staying that way, it seems perfectly reasonable in my opinion. So like 2 Arsenal attackers is fine, but having 3 of them is just too much. Saka to Diaz, very easy switch, and the team is like a 9 or 10 out of 10. But the way it is with Saka, Odegaard, and Jesus, too many Arsenal, 8 out of 10. Okay, so this is the final team. This is a back five team with some pretty decent bench options, in my opinion, to be honest. We're going to start with the defense again. Trent, Cancelo, Rayo, we've talked about already. Gabriel, like I said before, that I think that he is a good option in the Arsenal. If you want to get into the Arsenal defense, he is a good option. I think Zinchenko probably is a little bit better than Gabriel, just because he's a little more attacking threat and can potentially play in the midfield. But overall, I think Gabriel is still a great option. Trippier, I like I like Trippier a lot as an asset. I don't like Newcastle's opening fixtures. Like I said before, that's the reason I don't have Callum Wilson, and probably the same reason I'd stick away from Trippier unless you can like rotate him, which I think that this person is planning on doing. And then they're going to rotate Trippier with Bailey, which I think is a very very good option. Robertson, I think, is definitely being overlooked. He's only like 10% owned. At the end of the season, he like for the last like 15 or 16 game weeks, he was a top scoring defender last season. I think that Robertson could potentially do the same thing this season. I think he's a great option. So I really, 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 really like this team's defense. I'm not sure if I love Raya. Like I think that if you can somehow manage it, get him up to the 5.5 in Ederson, but I think out of the 4.5s, Raya is the best one and then like, looking at their midfield and forward options, I love this team. Salah, Saka, Neto, Bailey, and Andres in the midfield are just so good. It's such a balanced midfield. It looks like what they had was Bailey, Andreas, and Plange on the bench, and then Trippier starts the first game, and then I assume that Bailey comes in when Trippier has hard games, which I think is a very good strategy. I like it. I like it a lot, but I think it leaves some money on the bench, which you don't love, but overall, it's a very, very good team. You got Kane and Jesus up top. Those are my personal two favorite forwards this upcoming season. So honestly, this team looks fantastic. I really like it. There's not a lot you could really change here. Maybe you take out Biley, or you take out Trippier, put in Nico Williams, and you bring Biley up to like a £6 million player. But other than that, I think this team is a really, really good team. It's about as close as it gets to being perfect, in my opinion. So this team, for me, is going to get a 9 out of 10. I think it's the best team that we've seen so far. Most balanced, just really, really good overall. I'm personally just a really big fan of this team. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Let me know what you think about these drafts. If you have anything similar, if you would like to put your own team down in the comments, please feel free to. I can rate it myself if you'd like. But again, these are all just my personal opinions, so don't take them as holy gossip or holy gospel, because it's not. It's just some idiot that's recording a video. Thanks so much. Hope everyone has a good day, and cheers, everybody.